So I'm going to ask you to predict and say, where do you think this goes? Like if you and I are to talk again in, I don't know, 5 years or so, what kind of conversation do you think we'll be having?
You know, to be quite frank, I think a lot depends on what happens this November. I don't think people who are outside of evangelicalism understand that if Trump wins in 2024, the zeal of evangelical support for him will be even greater than anything that we've seen, because it will have been seen as divine intervention.
Well, I was going to make the video last week off of a segment that I had of David French speaking about evangelicals and the dangers of a Trump presidency and things like that. And I saw this article that just came out here yesterday talking about all of the mega churches, and a lot of the mega churches that preach nationalism are now saying this validates that Trump is God's chosen one. And I said, goodness, the devil, he's moved the chess piece right now. He's moved the chess piece. And if many of you remember this painting right here of the guy that's sweating because he's playing the devil in a chess match. And it's a painting, and he's sitting there, I can't remember the name of the thing, but he's sitting there sweating because he's playing a game for his soul with the devil. And the devil's pretty much got a smirk on his face because he's like, I got you, and things. And somebody that came along and was looking at this painting, and he said, wait 1 minute. The devil doesn't have him. The devil doesn't have him cornered like he thinks. There's one more move. And I said, you know what? Okay, the devil looked like he's got the church cornered. He looked like he's got us backed up. But you know what? God is always, he's going to get the last move. And though the nationalist people have elevated somebody, their golden calf, like never before, thinking that they're godlike now, that God is going to still show his glory, because God will not be mocked. The church is not going to, these so-called churches and pastors that have been, some of them may have truly been called by God. He's not going to allow them to continue to stand there and lead souls in the wrong direction. Now, I mean, right now, just like what David French, I want you to see that where we are with this, David French is a guy that works for, I think, the New York Times or the Columnist or whatever, and was going to run against President Trump during 2016 because he didn't think that, you know, morally and things like that. He wanted to run, but he had no name, didn't have the money and things like that. And his church came against him in such a way to where death threats, talked about his adopted daughter, I believe she was black or some type of minority, and showing pictures of her in the gas chambers and all of this crazy stuff that he had to go through from the hate because he spoke up about Mr. Trump at that time. And listen to what he says right here. I want you to listen to this clip. I want you to listen to it, and then we'll get back.
So I'm going to ask you to predict and say, where do you think this goes? Like if you and I are to talk again in, I don't know, 5 years or so, what kind of conversation do you think we'll be having?
You know, to be quite frank, I think a lot depends on what happens this November. I don't think people who are outside of evangelicalism understand that if Trump wins in 2024, the zeal of evangelical support for him will be even greater than anything that we've seen, because it will have been seen as divine intervention, as a miracle that this man, subject to all of these indictments and now a conviction and a sexual abuse finding and all of fraud findings and all of this, that it will be interpreted as the world came against him, but God protected him and made him prevail. That will be a narrative that will lock into a big chunk of the church in a way that will lead to zeal that I think is on a scale that's even greater than we've seen, and will also create, I think, a model going forward. This is how you win elections, is with Trump-like figures. If Trump loses, I'm not so sure that we would have a fever break moment so much as a fever fade moment. You know, people forget that a lot of Republicans still really liked Richard Nixon when he was forced out in 1974. They did. And then what ended up happening was there was sort of this fade, not so much a fever break, but often a fade. And so I think you would see more of a fade, but that MAGA populist reactionary element isn't going anywhere. It's perpetuated not just by Donald Trump, but by people with giant social media platforms. And their 5 million, 6 million followers are not just going to disappear into the ether if Trump loses. This is a movement that I think is going to be relevant and dangerous in many ways in American politics for a long time to come. But nothing compared to the danger of if Trump wins again in 2024.
David French, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
And as you see, this is before what happened over the weekend there with the incident of the attempt on his life. And as you can already see, I've been saying that myself, that the church is that people will look at some type of this person as divine and look at that direction and begin to, look at the self-proclaimed false prophets and all of them that continue to speak lies in the Lord's name, that they will be boasted and become emboldened like never before. And you will begin to see even more of these people coming out of the woodwork. They're already arrogant right now. They're already coming out with all kind of lies nonstop right now, based off the event. So just imagine how much greater it would be if that happened. And what you will see, just like David French said, and you want to read his bio for those of you, he's evangelical, read his bio. He's one of the few that stands up. And it will be total chaos in the church, because now it will pretty much broaden the spectrum for the nationalism to enter into the church like even more. And you will begin to have more figures want to raise up and try to be that platform. And you will have some you want to talk about people that, being led astray. And no longer the Sunday school teachings and Bible studies and all of that's already went in disarray as it is right now. Something like that happens, you're going to see something on a scale that's going to be, I can't even think about it. It sickens me to think about it, that this many people are in danger of being led astray by a nationalist movement, Christian nationalism, that they'll be led astray by this.
We are talking about Christianizing America. We are talking about spreading the gospel in a political context. We share the guilt because we have ceded certain areas of endeavor to the devil.
Paul Weyrich was a dangerous combination of religious zealot and savvy Republican operative. He realized that if he could organize an army of angry Christians into a powerful voting bloc, he could completely transform America.
Make no mistake about it. Even if we should prevail in every possibility in the November election, our job will just be beginning.
Where the worship of the founding fathers, worship of George Washington.
It's God, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob became Israel, Jesus, and George. This nation, particularly to Christian people, should be completely, totally based on what George Washington said to Jesus.
5 a.m. every morning, Washington read his scriptures and prayed according to Washington. And then when time allowed it, if they were not engaged in battle, he did it again at 10 a.m. George Washington. Incredible man of God, a man of destiny. That's why he's called the father of our nation. There's nobody like him ever. And if we were writing the Bible today, Washington would no doubt be included.
Worship of the Constitution, worship of this earth, and totally disregard souls, people's souls, and the people that are battling that's any and everything where they're trying to find. There's so many empty people out here. People that has money. Why is it you got rich people that still take their own lives? Because they're empty. They're void inside. You have people, young kids like never before, taking their own lives. Seniors taking their lives are at an all-time high. Things like that. People are just empty, looking and searching and searching. But these types of people that have elevated the earth, elevated politicians, things like that they sit there and they can't look to these types of pastors, these types of people, evangelicals and things, because they're in a different mindset. They're lost. They're spiritually lost. You know, I'm so thankful that over the years, I've had some godly men and women that I can go to and share intimate details about something and get some godly sound advice, that I can go to them and ask them to pray for me and not be criticized or, talked down or looked down to, things like that. But unfortunately, these types of people are raising up ministries, raising up churches, and you're not allowed there. Because if you don't go along with their program and what they subscribe to, they don't want you there. You're going to be cast out. And is this the way to operate a church? The Lord ain't pleased. The Lord is not pleased. And they can continue on with their little lion charades and all of this and that. But there'll be hell to pay someday. Whether they, like I always say, the Lord don't deal with them here on earth. He will deal with them when it's over. And they'll have to stand there and answer to him and all of that. They can bring the flag up. When they have to stand before the judgment, they can wrap themselves in that flag, bring a flag, bring, a flag pennant, put whatever on and stand there and try to explain, well, Lord, I was doing it for the country. I was doing it for this or that, trying to save the nation. I was this, that, or that, or that. Well, the founding fathers told me, well, you can stand right beside Benjamin Franklin. You can stand right beside George Washington. All of them, they have no power. They don't have the keys to the gates of heaven. They don't have nothing. And you're going to stand there and find out that flag and all of this worship of this earth is going to send you right straight to the pits of hell. So continue to idol worship. God said he shall have no other gods before him. He's clear about that. He is very clear about that. We're not to put no one above him. Not our spouses, not our kids, not our job, not our money, not our pastor, and not any politician. So that's all I have for today. I just wanted to get that out there. We are in great danger at the moment. It's a dangerous time. And, continue to let your light shine. Continue to teach your kids and family about the gospel. Because right now, it's important more than ever. Because you can't rely on some of the church at the moment, a lot of these churches anymore. You can't rely on people that are calling themselves Christians anymore and things, because so many people are falling away that there's danger everywhere. And it's going to be up to you to save your family. It's going to be up to you to be the one to make the difference. It's going to be up to you, and you're going to have to stand firm and stand strong and pray, because we are in a battle. But just like the picture and the devil think he's got his corner, no, he doesn't, because God has got one more move, and he's going to move in your life, and he's going to move in my life, and he's going to set the church straight. It's coming. So continue to stand there. Evangelism for God is the channel where we talk about issues the church went away from. Punch Satan right between the chops. My name is Maurice Braxton. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.